with the button. Are you ready? Start with the button? All right, I will start with what my academic colleagues will see. Is this a properly designed test? Because you know, in the industry, we do A/B testing all the time. And in fact, you can't publish it if it is not at least A/B testing. And in fact, you can't even test it if it is A/B testing. You have 2 by 2 by 2 designs where there's a three-way interaction. That's when you publish in academic journals, right? But here's the hook. You have to trust academics to reveal to you that gender was a designed factor, not a post hoc factor that they found out after the testing is done. Correct? Brilliant. See, my academic colleagues agree with me. For now, just trust us that you have to trust that the researchers have the decency to do that. And usually, maybe we can find out because it's in the researcher's head. So trust us. Now, is this a properly designed test? Let's look at the material. Because what is the essence of A/B testing is that you can only change one thing. If you ever change more than one thing, like circles to squares, you introduce confound variables. And that's really scary because you can never publish it if there's a confound variable, at least not on the top journals. All right. So now, Alex, what are the confound variables introduced here?
So you're changing circles to smiley faces and I to we.
Those are the constructs.
Right.
But with
You're
the...
manipulating them one at a time, so it's fine.
Well, that's not good enough, right? Because when we say, okay, you go. Signal of professionalism. That could be it, Michael.
Sorry, am I supposed to be criticising?
Yes.
I'm terrible at this bit of academia. Spent too long in government.
If we don't begin to criticize ourselves in front of our beloved fundraisers, who would? So criticize. All right, in our communities, I am making the whole community obvious, right? The whole community is here in the letter, versus in the U condition is singular. That's a confound.
Yeah, that's right, because the we's, there are different we's that are used. And one is the term which is trying to get all of this, actually trying to get all of you to support. And there's the which is embracing inclusive one as well. Two different.
Absolutely right. So, even though we tried our very best to change only one thing at a time, there are still confound variables that require additional follow-up studies to really coin it. What is the I and the we doing? All right? So yes, it's up to a standard, but it takes 3 more for testing to say really what's going on. Is this a statistically valid test? Well, depending on whether you're a psychologist or an economist or sociologist or whatever, the standard for statistically significant test is different. All right? And also depending on whether you review your design first before you do your statistical analysis or not. Statistical analysis doesn't mean much. So as a fundraiser, what do you do? You have absolutely no confidence unless you absolutely trust us to do our very best, that we're giving you the knowledge that we think you should use. And the best really we can do is we collectively go to academic conferences and we critique each other and we go through that terrible peer review process that Kim talked about and train ourselves to be that person butting each other all the time in audience. All right, so that's to the extent that academics can be confident about their finding. But let's suppose for a moment that academics have passed all that test. Suppose you trust every single thing is valid. Now I ask you, is this a relevant piece of fundraising insights that you could use? Don't nod your head. So easily because we're still in the middle of the butting exercise. Right, let's cross-check with your common sense. Let the real bug begin. All right? But before you say that, let me throw out something else at you. Millions of years of human evolution tells us that individuals need to collaborate with each other, otherwise they die. So saying we might have some evolutionary truth to it, but that is from millions of years ago, and they're monkeys and apes, they're not humans. So not relevant enough to fundraising yet. How about this? Thousands of years of human tribal ritual. And if I have Alan Clayton here, he can simply tell a story and you'll feel what that means. But since I don't have him here, I'll just let you hear something.
I couldn't believe how authentic he got everything to sound. And I said, John, where did it come from? And he said, well, I had some practice with the Root and so on, and everything just came very naturally, and that's the way it sounds.
When you were first approached to play for Schindler's List, did you give it a second thought? Did you agree at once, or did you say, I'm not sure I want to play for movie music?
No, that never occurred to me because in that particular case, the subject of the movie was so important to me, and that I felt that I could contribute simply by just knowing the history and feeling the history and indirectly actually being a victim of that history.